So yeah, I love to start these off with a very broad, overarching question and let you control the narrative and take this conversation where it will lead and just say, tell me the story of your life.
Mm. Well, you'll have to buy the book
All right.
because the book has the story of my life, Eight Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. And it's not written as a psychologist telling you how to be happy. It's actually a story of mine, which starts with the fact that I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma. And because of that, I always thought, like the 7 out of 10, that there was something wrong with me and that I'd never be caught up with the normal people and I'd never be good enough and I wasn't worthy. And it occurred to me that if we're the majority, how come we think that? And so it began my little journey to looking at the role of pain in life, and that pain in life is mandatory, but suffering from it is optional,
Mm.
especially for those of us who've had childhood trauma. And everyone has had some kind of trauma in their lives because that is the touchstone of humanity.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that when we understand pain's purpose is to chisel us like sculptures, then we become less sorry for ourselves and less victimized, less apathetic to the world, less depressed about life as a journey. And so that's been my life. I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years because of the book and because of my work. I'm also very shy, as you can tell. And as an Asian female, that is counter the cultural upbringing. And so, with all of this extra hate for Asian Americans, it is even more important that one of the things that I do work in, I'm an organizational psychologist by education, and I get to go to companies and talk about power, politics, miscommunication, and conflict. And so valuing diversity is a very important area that right now is even more important, thanks to the killing of George Floyd, as well as all of this crime against Asian Americans. So I hope that sort of entrees you into me,
Yeah, definitely.
both personally and professionally.
Yeah, and what really stuck out in you talking about the childhood trauma is as 7 out of 10 saying you're the majority, because I think that's such an I mean, I as you hear it, 7 of 10, if you know anything about math, that means that's the majority, but I hadn't heard it said as the majority, and I was like, wow, if that little flip was told to everybody who's going through that, that would drastically change, because so many people just feel so ashamed or just not ready to talk about the traumas. And 7 of 10, that means three, a very small portion of 10 people
Right,
haven't. That's a
right.
very small
Yes.
number.
And seven is actually a conservative number. My honorable moniker, Oprah, I was introduced to Oprah as the Asian Oprah
Yeah.
by Michael Bernard Beckwith. Oprah says it's as high as 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And in my psychological world, some psychologists say it's as high as 93%. So you want to talk about majority. So it is an extreme flip of the BS, the belief systems that we embrace as children of trauma that really, will never be good enough. And we then embrace those messages that we had growing up. I grew up told I was fat, I was ugly, and I was clumsy
Mm.
by the one person who's supposed to think that their daughter is the most beautiful person in the world. And when Fox DC did a Women's History Month special on me, we actually, delved into, that I had a, um, what is it, Tiger Mom on steroids. And now knowing, and chapter 4 in my book is Out of Hatred into Forgiveness.
Mm.
And the power in children who've had that kind of trauma to begin to see what happened to them, not as what happened to them, but what happened for them, to uniquely chisel us into an expanded, incredible, unique, magnificent version of who we really are. We are in this position of being uniquely able to reach others who are in the majority, who've had pain. So instead of looking at it as something horrible that we have to live in blame or shame, as you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and switch that into we have a unique purpose now to be able to reach children and adults who have felt that there's something wrong with them their entire lives and just destroy that bullshitaki, that BS belief system, and now move forward knowing how unique and wonderful we are. Can you imagine the kind of life that is possible because of that? And that's the message in my newest baby that just got popped out. It's a new short film called The New PPP, Post Pandemic Possibilities. The trailer's
Yeah.
on YouTube, and we're going through the whole film festival circuit. But I would love anybody who wants a copy of that to just go to drmarissa.life. I have a nonprofit. If you donate any amount, I'll give you the film so you can enjoy it and as well as share it, because that message is so counter to hashtag BC19, what I
Yeah.
call the time before COVID,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because most of us were not happy with our lives. 1 out of 4 Americans were on antidepressants and anxiety medication. That's not happy.
Right.
25%.
Yeah.
And then the unfortunate death of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade, you know, that just goes to prove that this BS that we grew up with, fame and fortune, was going to make us happy,
Yeah.
is really not true. So it's time. It's time for everybody to really claim the birthright of
Yeah.
happiness that is theirs. 88% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you touched on Bourdain, and I mean, that was like, that one hit hard because that was someone that, as a traveler, I feel that wanderlust. I really want to go and be in all those cultures, and you just see his life as just what life can be, right? He's
Right?
always somewhere else. He's having fun. He's meeting people, and he's just,
On the outside.
yeah, he's just doing it. And then it's, when it happened, I was like, it, nobody's shielded from it.
Yeah.
Nobody's life, and no matter if you've put their life up as the perfect pedestal life that you want to have, it's, you're not above it. You're not
No,
above addiction, you're not above depression, and it shows that you can't beat it by just getting super rich and super famous.
it's an inside out job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, also with COVID, what a hard time for everybody in so many different ways, but just so different too, that so many people that didn't know or talk about mental health, now it's been to a forefront of, am I depressed, or take themselves out of their workplace, and that's where they got their worth, was dressing up and going into a workplace, and now they don't have that. I mean, there's so many different, I work in the music industry. I've toured for 16 years, and that was immediately ripped out from under me, which I never thought I would, because it was entertainment. I thought we were good and we're fine. Everybody needs to be entertained because of these stats that we're talking about. The people need to get away from their normal life and go to shows and stuff. And I know so many people in my industry, they were they were identifying with what band they were on tour with and how cool that was, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it sideswiped people all over the world, obviously, but for so many different ways.
yeah, I call it the hashtag COVID silver lining. I actually published an article early in COVID season on uh, Medium that it was called COVID, an opportunity for a lifetime, because we could no longer define ourselves in the roles that we played normally, in the jobs that we had normally, it it allowed us the space, that pause, to look at the cookies we had in our browser and what needed to be a soft reset and what needed to be a hard reset and what needed to be deleted altogether. Who am I? I have a girlfriend, she doesn't have an answering machine, she has a questioning machine. And when you call her, it says, "Who are you? And what do you want?" And that's what COVID has afforded us, is this beautiful pause to ask and get in touch with who we really are, at the core of who we are. It's a new term that I've been using, hashtag unconditional happiness. Can we truly be happy regardless and in the middle of the conditions that we're in? And if that doesn't dig into the happiness as an inside out job, I don't know what else does. Because all those things that aren't going right, there are still people, many of whom, they, they, thanks to my book, and I'm so grateful for that, as well as the speaking in the TV shows that I did right before COVID, millions of people are asking that question and finding and defining and creating a space for unconditional happiness, which is, so delightful to me,
Yeah.
because that is my mission. And and perfectionists who, by the very nature of that definition, is the dis-ease of life, because I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I have this, when I've done this, when I have this much money, had to stop and go, wait a minute, I'm at a standstill. So what do I do? I'm not happy. And I'm not going to be able to get all these things for who knows how long. So that has also forced people to relook at not just material, but our relationships. Where are we in our relationships? Am I happy with my relationships right now? And if I'm not, why? And
Yeah.
what's my part in this? So it's all kinds of really beautiful opportunities that we've had this last year. And I hope that, as we come out, we don't rush back to normal. I hope you're asking yourself, do I really like what I'm doing? Oh, I'll live for my weekends. Hello, 2 out of 7 days is your weekend. Do you really want to go back to a job that is highlighting someone else's dreams? Do you really want to go back to a job paying minimum wage? Do you know what your unique talent, gift, and ability is? Well, let's take this time before you run back there to explore that. So that's what I do in my coaching, and it's been really great how people are like, okay,
Yeah.
you're right. I don't want to go back to the job that I hate, but what do I do? What do I know how to do? Who am I? What am I good at? So
Totally. Yeah. I've been thinking about that too with this, is just how many times I in my life would just be like, I need a pause button. I need a break. And none of us knew what that break was going to look like, or that pause, and then we got it. And yeah, it gave us all so much time to sit and think and be with ourselves and figure out if this was what we wanted to do. I know a ton of people that pivoted and didn't want to go back. And you said it so well, of people just living for the weekend. And it's like, man, how can you do that? Like, life is far too short. I mean, I to like almost 3 years ago now, I was at the beginning stages of liver failure because of my drinking, and I was in the hospital, and I was told by the doctor that I might not have another night left in my life at 33 years old. And I'll tell you, when I was sitting there in my room, I wasn't sleeping, because when you get news like that and you don't know if you shut your eyes, if you're ever going to wake back up, you don't sleep. You can't. There's no possible way. But what I wasn't thinking about was what jobs I did, what money I had in my account, what possessions I had, or whose dream did I make, did I propel? What I was thinking about was, how did I live my life? What kind of effect did I have? What kind of legacy was I leaving? Yeah, like, that was what I was thinking about. And so moving forward past that, I was like, okay, I have to do more. I have to live for myself. And even in that moment, I had a real moment of peace where, as I looked into it, I was scared as hell that I was going to die. I didn't want to die. But if I did, I was sitting there thinking, at least I took chances. I lived my life. I didn't play it safe. I went for it. And I think if people can get more to that, it would be such a beautiful place because people would genuinely be happy because they're exploring what they want to do. So I always say one good thing about living in a greedy world is that there's always money to be made. You're always going to be able to come back and make money because there's, I
Yeah,
mean,
the economy
the
will never
the the pandemic proved that people are always going to put money over humans. So
yeah, right.
go
Well,
take the chances.
the thing is though, is that, where you were saying, where did people get that idea? And we were raised, the American dream says, if we go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get promoted, find a person, shackle them to you, have children, retire so that you can, be on vacation as you're dying, and then leave your stuff to squabbling relatives. That is the American dream. There's no cap on it. And the reality of the American dream, what people have for the majority, is that you don't get good grades, you don't get in the school you want, you don't get the job that you want, or you don't get the promotion you want. You get the house, and then the house becomes a burden. You get the marriage and the children, and they become a burden. People get sick, people are addicted, whatever it is. That's the dark side of the American dream. So that's how we got there. So I actually have an explanation for
Yeah.
that. That plus Snow White and Cinderella, and no thanks to Jerry Maguire, you complete me. You're not complete until you meet your soulmate, and then you go through all kinds of heartache. So that is, if we're not careful, and if we don't have the muscle and the hashtag blisscipline, it's a term that comes from my big brother Michael Beckwith, who founded Agape. But if we don't have that hashtag blisscipline to understand that the most powerful tool we have is the C word, not commitment, not collaboration, but choice. And so many of us, I would say the majority of us, have abdicated our most powerful tool of choice to choose what we focus on, because we just take this, and if we were on camera, you'd see I'd be scrolling through my phone. That's who we've abdicated our power of choice to. Who screams the loudest, who bleeds the most, who has the most drama. And our day is gone. You get sucked into the sinking sand of the news on your phone. If you wake up first in the morning, I'm pressing and pressing and clicking, and an hour goes by, and it's like, what happened to my time? I don't get that back. I have
Right.
all of these great ideas about other people and not myself. And if you wake up with the news, that's what you've got. If you binge watch over and over and over, now, don't get me wrong, I love a good movie. But I know that there's a time limit for all of those things. That if I lose that hour where I could have been exploring what the possibilities were with the skills that I have on technology, which is so smart these days, then I chose to lose that time. I chose to lose that opportunity. I chose that, and people don't understand that the buck stops right over here. You can spend the rest of your life blaming the people that hurt you, or you can choose to take responsibility and not drag all that bullshit talkie from the past into your present and spewing it into the future. But that's a bliss discipline. It requires a daily, moment by moment decision to choose where you focus, to choose to take back your mind, to take back your heart, to take back your feelings, to take back your ability to create. We're creators, all of us. It's not just a subset of creativity that goes to musicians or artists. No, no. I'm also a musician as well, so no insult there meant. But if you are a person who's been called sensitive your entire life, I want you to celebrate that. Did you know that 100% of sensitivity is correlated to 100% creativity? But what have you been doing with that creativity? Anybody can write. Anybody can make music. Anybody can do crafts or something that provides an outlet for that creativity. Amanda Gorman. Thank God for
Oh
Amanda
man.
Gorman. Showing right everyone, children of all ages, that you can write a poem. You can express the pain that you're feeling with words
Yeah.
instead of taking a pill to make you feel better, instead of going to the fridge and eating a gallon of ice cream. There's so much creative expression that we all have. We just have to. And you've got the forum. Instead of posting how pissed you are about something stupid, why don't you post something affirmative? Why don't you post and highlight people who are doing something with their pain? Why don't you share, everyday heroes? Why don't you share organizations that are doing something good to end racism? There's so much you could do instead of posting irritating pissed offedness that you are feeling about the day, and anger and spewing more hate.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself. I've been on social media, a lot of it is not by choice, just because of what I do.
Sure.
But I have never, not once, posted a rant about, an ugly thing. I do, maybe I lied just now. I have begun to highlight some things that were done by the past president that I thought were not okay, because what you permit, you promote. But
Yes.
for the most part, I mean, excluding that, I want my show. Take my advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, now in its ninth year, is all about balance. It's taking. I have stars on the show, not because they did, they're stars. I had Fran Drescher on the show, not because she was the nanny, but because she has an organization, Cancer Schmancer, that educates people on how to reduce your risk of cancer. So everybody could do that. If you have a social page, you have the power to put out something positive. Now that is a world you were talking about. What would that look like,
Yeah.
right? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, it'd be so amazing.
And your podcast is doing that too,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That's what I want. I want all the positivity. I want all the creativity. And I heard it said a very beautiful way yesterday. I was actually listening to a podcast that Ben Folds was on, and he was talking about um, lightning bugs. Is what he has a podcast called Lightning Bugs. But the way he explained it was he had this dream when he was a kid that he was seeing lightning bugs in a field, and none of his other friends saw it, and he was trying to figure out why his friends weren't seeing the lightning bugs, and he thought he was weird because he was seeing them. And then he looked at it and he said, well, anyone can go into a field and see. He saw lightning bugs, and that was his way of seeing it. And the other kid was seeing the grass on the ground. The other kid was seeing, he was building something, so he became an architect. And I was just like, it is so beautiful that all of us, and it speaks to you talking about us being creatives. All of us are creatives. I mean, especially think of us as kids. You're just looking at a world where you're creating everything. You're learning everything. But the way I loved the way he said it, of like, I saw these lightning bugs and the other kid saw the grass, and like when I see these things, I hear them in melodies, and other people see them as a blank space to build something. And it was just so cool to be like, yeah, we all have such a creative look at this world that we're living in, and it's just the scope that we see it through. And I think, yeah, I think if we all moved towards promoting the positivity and celebrating our diversity and celebrating the humans in this world that make this world a beautiful place, we would be so much better than people talking about the hatred and this is why you should hate these people. And like you said, what you permit, you promote. And I mean, it's a lot of the reason why the last 4 years happened and why we got to even that poor excuse for a man getting elected or even having a chance to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You know, we have to, we don't have to. It's a choice again. If you hate something, that's still hate. So even if it's hating something that's horrific, you know, that's why, you know, the war on drugs doesn't work. That's why the war on obesity doesn't work. That's why the war on, you know, addiction doesn't work. It has to come from a different place. It has to come from a place of solution instead of, you know, getting deeper into the problem. And hatred will get you deeper in the problem. I love Thich Nhat Hanh's story where he says, if an arsonist comes and sets your house on fire, resist the urge to run after him and set his house on fire, right? Take care of your house, turn around and go put the fire out in your house that's burning. Try to save what you can. So this is where, you know, at the end of every show, I say peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. That we cannot get to world peace if we're not at peace within. And how do we get to peace within? It starts with, do you like yourself 88% of the time? Do you think you're okay 88% of the time? Are you happy 88% of the time? And some people will say, why 88? Why not 99? Why not 100? And I will say, well, if you're 100% happy, you're dead. So we don't want dead people walking. There's got to be contrast. 8 is actually a lucky number in Chinese. I know if you had the cameras on, you would have thought I was Swedish, but I am Chinese. 8 is a homonym for good fortune. So double 8 is 88% happy, 88% good, 88% fabulous. Why is that's your double good fortune to be happy 88% of the time? And I use 88 specifically with perfectionists because we don't stand still and just say, good job. We're on to the next goal. We're on to the next dream. We're on to the next thing. We're on to, and so we do that to ourselves. We have a critic inside that says, you should have done this. You didn't do this. You forgot to do that. You're not all that. What's wrong with you? So most of us don't like ourselves, which is the fundamental roots of the dis-ease of life. Because if all of us could approve of ourselves 88% of the time, we would not have the conflict that we do now. But because we don't think we're okay 88% of the time, we're out with our antennas looking for who loves me, who respects me, who's going to like me, literally like, who's going to comment on my stuff. And it's a horrible place to be. You're always unstable. You're never balanced. You always think that you're not good enough. And so the healing has to start inside. We have to get to a place in our relationships. If you're looking for another person to tell you how good you are and to tell you, you know, that you complete them, then there's a problem right there. That means in a whole, you're only 50%. My math, my new math is that 88% meets 88%. You got way more than a whole, right? And yeah, without that person, you're still whole at 88%. That kind of logic or new math or new happy 88 math is the formula for us to be able to be in the solution for everything. Everything, the policing system, the jail system, the education system, the national, you know, we're patriot. You know, we're not just nationalists, we're planet patriots, right? We're all in this together. Then we can all choose in ourselves, you know, what works and doesn't work for the planet, right? So, you know, when it comes to the whole, I had Rick O'Barry on, dolphin activist. If you watched Blackfish on CNN or The Cove on Netflix, it's, you know, it's all connected. So don't go to Anheuser-Busch's Marine Land or SeaWorld, because that's what's driving the slaughter of the dolphins and the whales. So, seaspiracy.
Oh yeah.
There's some horrific fishing practices going on, dragging at the bottom of our oceans. So there's so much great we can do. I had Chicago 7, one of the original members, Rennie Davis. Great interview on my YouTube. You can still get it. I had MS Hope, Matt Embry, who talks about the whole multiple sclerosis and there's so many things that we can get involved with. We don't have to save the world. We just gotta, within ourselves, be okay. And then when we're okay, when we're 88% okay, we start getting inspirations to do something inspired by the love for self, love for our planet, love for each other. And the answers will come. But if we stay in bed, binge watching, scrolling through, weapon of mass distraction media,
Yeah.
hiding under the covers, feeling sorry for ourselves, waiting for whatever check to come bail us out, we're not part of the solution.
That's so true.
So there's my soapbox.
I love it. I think it's so important to hear all of that and to challenge ourselves with that every day, because like you said, it is a choice to not do that every day. And I know when I started into my recovery, it was when I started to love myself again and figure out the empowerment that I had and the story that I had, and yeah, just that inner strength. It was my choice to wake up every day and stand up and go and live. And it's one of my favorite songs. One of the lyrics is "Snails see the benefit, the beauty in every inch." And so I started living life that way, where I was like, literally every part of this life is beautiful, and I will enjoy it. And that doesn't mean just the beautiful parts. That means all the shit that comes in, all of the other nonsense. It is still beautiful because it's a learning experience. It's something that we can grow from. And so I literally was just like, I'm here, I'm alive, and that's beautiful. And every step that I take, every new city I'm fortunate enough to go to, every new human that I meet, I'm going to make the best out of that. And it's a really beautiful way to do it, is take the choice, take your power back, like find that strength inside yourself, find that happiness, whatever that means to you. And then once you find that, you can start pushing that out. And like you said, we can't all solve every problem in the world. That's impossible. But the ripples that we put out, our conversation, people can hear this and then start talking about 88% happiness, and then that starts to go to the next person and that person and that person. And that's what we can do in a tangible way, is have these conversations and keep promoting that self-love and the self-happiness. And once you get to that and you feel like you can start giving that, it's really amazing the power that you'll see when you give that to somebody else.
Yeah, I have two things on my Happy 88 meal, my Happy 88 meal instead of the normal Happy Meal. Two things. One is to take a bite of my gratitude sandwich every day. So every morning when you wake up, past beautiful teacher Dr. Wayne Dyer said 5 things you're grateful for in the morning. I'm an overachiever, so I say 8, and you know that I like the number 8. So 8 specific things in the morning that you are grateful for. Can't say friends and family, not specific enough. You can do it in less than 20 seconds. This morning, I'm grateful for the fabulous taste of my coffee, the amazing comforter that I get to slip between for sleep, the good night's sleep that I had, the fun that I always have speaking on other people's podcasts because I just am so shy, and sarcasm is another service I offer. Find that laughter, which I just got, is my favorite sound. That I have 2 beautiful inside and out girls. I'm on number 6. Number 7 is that I'm looking out into the ocean of abundance. And number 8, that I just love my life. And that took 20 seconds. And if you do that in the morning, it begins to be a habit after 21 days. At night, this is the kicker. At night before you go to bed, instead of allowing your critic to say what you did wrong, what didn't you get done, and all of that, say thank you very much. But I'm taking over. I'm balance centered, Dr. Marissa, and I am going to appreciate 8 things about myself. So before I go to bed, instead of, who done me wrong, which of course we're gonna have problems sleeping if we're going there, but
Right.
if instead I say, I know I'm funny, even though my husband never thought I was. I know that I'm creative. I did a great job on a podcast this morning. I'm going to bring my bonus mom some pad thai that she wants. And number 5, I finished preparing for the show this week with Dion Lam, who's a reporter up in San Francisco. Number 7, that I completed the film festival applications. Number 7, that I am caring. And number 8, that I'm loving most of the time. So there's 8 specific things that I love about myself. And when I sandwich my day like that, I can't have a bad day, right? Now, if you can't get to that place because you're a complainer, then the second thing on the menu is 21-day fast from complaining. I started this in 2011. If you put $21 to my nonprofit and you get a certificate when at the end of the 21 days, you have not complained 21 days in a row, I'll double your money. So you get $42 back. You can officially join on my website. You don't have to, but usually if you put money somewhere, you'll try harder.
Yeah.
But complaining is an American pastime now. And no wonder we can't get to the solution. No wonder bad things are happening. I'm a student of the law of attraction from Abraham Hicks. I know that what I focus on grows bigger. So if you're a complainer, guess what? The more you complain, the more things come to you that you get to complain about. So that is a huge underlying foundation piece. If you really want to like yourself, 88% of the time, those are 2 things: gratitude sandwich and 21-day fast from complaining, that I would highly encourage, because you are worth it. You are loving, lovable, and loved. You're wrapped in a warm blanket of worthiness, and you deserve to have a great life 88% of the time. But only you can choose that. No one else can choose that for you. It's not up to other people to make you happy. I love Don Miguel Ruiz, who's also my show and a friend of mine's in the 4 Agreements, right? He's famous for that. He also has a Mastery of Love book, which is awesome. And he says, every person is the star of their own show. They are the main actor in their own show. And you cannot expect other people to be your supporting actors. They've got their own show. They're the main person in their show. So if you're building your life thinking you want to have supporting actors and you're running the show, you're not going to be happy. That is BS, a belief system that will keep you unhappy, because you cannot control other people. You have to find a way to approve and soothe yourself. And that's the work in the book. There's exercises in the book. If you do all the exercises, I promise you will never hate yourself the same way again, because the work has to be you. The work has to be who you are, what you want, how you see yourself, and then not your responsibility. If you were harmed as a child, that is not your fault. If you had childhood trauma, nothing about that did you bring onto yourself. Nothing. You are not to blame for that. You're not to be shamed for that. I'm sorry that happened, but it happened. But it is your responsibility if you want to drag that shit into your present and into the future. That is your responsibility. You don't have to do that. And that's why I wrote the book.
Wow. That is so good. Man, that is so much to think about. And so just such, yeah, I was trying to think like how it would be so much of a challenge to wake up, like after you've woken up and said your 8 and then go to bed. Like I'm trying to think of how you could have a bad day through that. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, how could you? Because I was thinking as you were saying them, I was like, yeah, okay. So today, I think I'm having a great conversation. I had a podcast earlier today that I had a really nice conversation with an amazing woman. So I had 2 amazing podcasts, and it's like when you start thinking about it, of like, oh, here's really good parts of my day, instead of, because every day you can look at the bullshit. It is out there. Yes, of
It
course.
is.
So
It
much.
is.
But when you sandwich it like that, that's so beautiful. And so I couldn't help but be smiling and just thinking
Exactly.
amazing thoughts when you were talking about it, thinking of like, oh, tonight when I go to bed, what am I going to be thinking about? Then you actively think about your day too, which is a really good practice to
It
think through
is
what
very
you've done and
hashtag discipline. It's a very
yes,
good discipline. Yes.
discipline. I like that.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, and you were talking about, shit happens every day. Yeah, that's right. Shit happens, but good shit happens every day
Totally.
too. But if you don't notice the good shit happening because you're so focused on complaining, then you'll only notice the bad shit. And
Right.
it's a psychological term called the Pygmalion effect. And that is the opposite of that expression. I'll believe it when I see it, right? You grew up with that probably. I
Oh yeah.
did. Uh, um, but the actually Pygmalion effect says that you will see it when you believe it. So whatever your BS belief system is, if you think, and I love this saying, Einstein says the most important question the human being has to answer is the universe friendly or not? If you choose to say that the universe is not friendly, then you will only see evidence of that. You will be holding your breath all day, waiting for someone to break your heart again, waiting for someone to take your stuff away. That is what you're going to see. You will only see parts of life with that. You'll only see the downside of the pandemic, the downside of what the news is giving. Well, actually, the downside's already there. You don't have to look at the downside. That's all the news is. It's
Right.
all
Yeah.
old, right? And CNN constantly negative news. So that is, if you choose to believe that the universe is not friendly, then you will see all of those things. However, if you choose to see the universe is friendly, and I'll give you a couple of starters that you can do in the morning. I choose, the universe is friendly. I'm not looking at COVID. I'm not looking at the pandemic. I'm not looking at any of that. I'm looking at the fact that I'm alive. I'm breathing. The planets did not crash into each other last night while I was sleeping. My body processed all kinds of stuff without me telling it what to do. Every grain of sand, every leaf on the tree, every blade of grass, every drop of water is completely unique. Tell me that isn't a friendly universe.
Right.
So I choose that first and foremost. So I can't choose that for you. I would love to, but because we are such complainers, such worry warts, such, in a bad habit of complaining as Americans. I just read this article saying, how do you know an American's a tourist in your city? And it was embarrassing. We're
Totally.
the complainers, right? It's totally embarrassing. So, but it's an epidemic. So that's why I'm so, please start the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, because when you start doing that, if you take the attention away from the negative, then the positive allows you to see, but you have to choose that. So I have another expression as a happy 88 tool for you. When shit happens, I don't want you to pretend it didn't happen, right? When shit happens, shit happens. If you try to repress that stuff, including the stuff from your past, what you don't deal with will deal with you. It'll come back. You press down garbage, it turns into liquid. You press down liquid, it turns into gas. All of a sudden, if you're like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm okay, how are you? I'm fine, okay. Fine stands for effed up, irrational, neurotic, and emotional. You're not fine, okay? You're like George Costanza's dad in The Friends, serenity now, serenity now. He says that the entire show, and at the end, he takes a bat to $1 million worth of computer equipment, because you cannot repress that stuff without it coming out. So when shit happens that I don't like, I say this. First, I stomp my feet. I go, and I do it in less than 16 seconds because I'm a law of attraction student. I don't want any more of that coming at me. And then I say this. I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. with as little or as much sarcasm as possible. So, so that's what happened. I didn't mean to write the book. I lost a $200,000 consulting project with a big company, and I was not happy. And I stomped my feet. I jumped up and down in the garage when I got the call from the director of HR, your sponsoring executive, just got GAN, no project. I was not happy. And then I said, after I expressed my anger, I said, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. And the voice said, write. And I said, I don't have time to write. And the voice said, you do now. He has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I wrote for 1 week, and I finished Out of Loneliness into Hope, chapter 1, Out of Control into Happiness, chapter 8. 1 week. Monday morning, I finished Sunday night. Monday morning, I get an email out of the blue from a West Coast publisher that said, we follow motivational speakers on LinkedIn. Are you writing anything?
Wow.
Are you forking kidding me?
Damn, that's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so I sent him that. They sent me a contract the next day. Now, I didn't go with them because I wanted a East Coast publisher, and I went with them because they have a deal with Habitat for Humanity. So part portion of every sale of my book that went 8 bestseller lists, number 1 on Amazon, number 4 on Denver Post. I wasn't supposed to write a book. So a portion of every sale goes to Habitat for Humanity. That's why I went with them. But this is exactly an example of what I'm talking about. You know, I am weird, but I'm not unique. I am unique, but you're unique too. There's something waiting to be expressed in you if you just get out of your own way, if you just quit, bashing yourself. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm not harder on anybody than I am on myself. I'm my own worst critic. I got 2 words for you. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Quit.
It's not serving you. It's not serving me. It's not serving anybody. But that's the enemy. Oh, beautiful African-American saying. Are you ready? Yes. When there is no enemy within, no one outside can hurt you. Drop the mic.
Walk away. Yeah.
I love that.
That's perfect.
Isn't it perfect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. I love that so much. I love all of everything you're saying is
thank you.
Just beautiful. I love it.
Breathe that in. Breathe that in nose. And release. Soft shoulders, soft elbows, soft knees. Another breath in. And releasing all the stories and the drama. And one more deep breath in. Taking in all that we've talked about in this last almost hour, and just release and just let it float into your heart space. You've got a beautiful jeweled box there. The lid is open. Everything that you want to remember will be remembered, just leaving it there in your heart. What color is the jewel on top of your box? What color is your jewel?
My jewel?
Yeah. Do you see a color of your jewel?
I got a flash of orange right there.
Okay. So you have a topaz jewel on your box in your heart that you're going to keep all of this, and you're going to be able to go visit it as often as you want during the day because it's always there.
Yeah.
And there you go.
I love it. You brought up how Americans are seen all over the world. So it kind of is a funny segue into a question that I ask everybody on the podcast. COVID restrictions aside, all of that, if we were in a world where travel was wide open again, and I came to you and I had a plane ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you go to?
Aurora Borealis, and polar bears. Wherever that is.
I love it. I love it. My partner and I went to northern Finland, and we saw a little blip of them. I mean, a tiny, not like the pictures you see where it's the whole sky. We just saw a tiny little bit, and we both cried. I just kept being like, "Oh my God, holy shit, this is incredible!" And we were in tears, and it was magical.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
I
That's
love
my
it.
that's on my bathtub list because
Yeah,
bathtubs are bigger than buckets.
I like that a lot. I've not heard that either.
You might steal that. You have to give me credit.
I will definitely. One thing I read down through a bunch of um your profile, and I have two other things I wanted to ask you about. And it said raising recovering teenagers. What is that?
So the last time I don't pray for patients anymore because the last time I prayed for patients I got teenagers. My two beautiful girls, they're not teenagers anymore, and really, they say the terrible twos and the teen years are the toughest as parents, and so that's why I said it that way to sort of be funny. But it truly, as a parent, I have a formula called balanced parenting. And, we as parents have gone through the one extreme of, don't cry or I will give you something to cry about,
Yeah,
right? And that kind of discipline to the complete other extreme of laissez-faire. You can do whatever you want, and neither one of them works.
right.
So I have a book called Balanced Parenting that has been in the works for a while, but it got pushed aside. But I do coaching for parents who want a system that is coming from love, that is balanced. So you're not spanking, but you are also um, talking, helping kids with their internal uh, um, radius, their internal compass to, understanding who they are, the power they have, and that they live in a world that has limits. So that is, I adapted Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements into the 4 agreements for kids. So that's where that comes
Got you. Okay, I like that.
from. Yeah.
The other one that I saw that I was intrigued by was that you race sailboats.
I do.
That's so neat.
Thank you. I actually fell into it 30 years ago. I was doing my internship on the East Coast on the Schuylkill River at Scott Paper Company, and a guy, one of the consultants, asked me out, and I kept saying no. And then he said, "Would you like to go sailboat racing with me?" And that was the ticket, and I was
Yeah.
hooked from that point. And I'm so grateful that I live by the ocean of abundance. I'm solar powered. I need the sun and the sand and the waves. And lucky for me, not only do I get to race sailboats, I've been in this one class design for Catalina 37s. I'm also on the US sailing team's boat, which takes out inner city kids and teaches them how to race as we're racing. Tell me I'm not the luckiest girl on the planet,
That's
right?
that's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, the
And I,
fact that you're sailing, but then yeah, that you're helping the kids
hello,
learn.
hello, right, right. I am the luckiest girl in the world, definitely. I actually was. There's a luckiest woman in the world play that I did when I lived in Brussels, doing my after I graduated with my PhD. So I, like you, love exploring love, and I had no fear, and so I went and I got into acting, and it was a short play called the what is it called, the luckiest girl in the world finds happiness or something like that. I'll have to go look it up, but it was something like that. It was a long time ago, but
Yeah,
I'm ageless, so it wasn't
of
that long
course. Right.
ago. So yeah, so that's
That's so cool.
I'm so lucky. I'm so
Yeah. Wow. What
now
a
I couldn't go out this last season, obviously.
sure.
And
Yeah.
then 4 months ago, I just had my second hip replaced on the other side. So, and this is how my life works. Usually we start in May. And I called my skipper and he said, "We're not starting till the second series in June." And I'm like, I'm going to do another boat. And then I go to my physical therapist and I'm thinking, oh, she cleared me for bike riding. She cleared me for paddleboarding. I said sailing. And she goes, "Nope." I'm like, "What?" She goes, no, those movements, not. I go, when? She goes, June. Of course.
Of course it was.
Right? God doing for me what I can't do for myself. I do call, I'm not religious, by the way, but when I talk about, Einstein is the universe friendly, I call my universal power, it's my UPS man, my universal power source,
I like
my
that.
universal power source man who delivers every morning when I pray and meditate. So my UPS man is my higher power. It's way better than my lower power.
Right.
It's me.
Yes, I think so as well.
Uninspired me.
Oh, that's so good. All right, I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
First one is, what would you want the world to know about you?
Oh gosh, that I am one of the 7 or 8 out of 10, and that what happened was for me, not to me, and I have no regrets of anything that happened, including the childhood trauma and the very expensive divorce that I had to pay almost several million for. That none of that I regret, that everything that has happened to me, good, bad, and ugly and beautiful, has made me into who I am. And I am 88% fabulous. And I wouldn't change anything. And the legacy that I want to leave is that if you come across me, and I do this with kids whenever I speak, is look them in the eye and say, you can do anything that your heart and mind desires. And if you can't feel or believe that now, know that I believe that for you until you can believe it yourself. That's what I want to be remembered for. I had a grade 10 math teacher, JJ Bristow, who knew that things were not great for me at home and kept me after class one day. And I'll never forget that. That was the message he gave me. And that is my legacy now to leave for the rest of the world, especially in children.
That's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, such power in that. She can be anything. It's a great, big, beautiful world.
It
Go
is.
do it. Go do it. The
Yeah.
possibilities
The
are
gospel according to Nike. Just do it.
just do it. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. All right, last question for you. If you had the ear of everybody in the world, what would you say to them?
Find your balance centered you who loves you and thinks you are the best and most incredible being. And turn towards that voice of love that is always saying for everyone, come over here. It's beautiful over here. There's love and peace and joy over here. Turn, I'm here. I've always been here waiting for you to turn around and dance with me.
Brilliant.
That was my spiritual awakening. Actually, was
Mm.
that moment that happened to me 12 years ago when I was church shopping, and that happened at Agape. So that's when I was introduced to my UPS man.
That's so brilliant. I love that. That's so good.
Thank
So
you.
good. And thank you for sharing this unbelievable knowledge with me and with everyone that's listening. I can't even begin to tell you how much I enjoyed this. This is
Oh,
just so fantastic. So thank you for
yeah,
your time.
of course, and please come visit me everywhere. A fan who says my new tagline should be Dr. Marissa. She's everywhere.
She's
But I
everywhere.
love, 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 love. Um, drmarissa.life. Sign up there. I send a once a month if I remember. Just a little thing, but I'm very active on social. Doc Balance on Instagram. Please resubscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Marissa Pay. You'll get the red carpet interviews with Halle Berry and John Travolta, and you'll get the past shows with Frederick, who got his arm cut off in the Rwandan genocide. So fabulous guest for 9 years. Marianne Williamson to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, who just passed. She became a friend. So lots of stuff to enjoy for free. But if you are a tither, if you enjoy my message, please help with my nonprofit, 8 Ways to Happiness. If you buy stuff on Amazon, just go to Smile Amazon, put 8 Ways to Happiness, and you'll help out with my nonprofit that helps kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness, just like yours.
Yeah, so good. I'll put links to all of that in the show notes as well,
Thank
so that
you.
people can just click and find you and connect and help
That would be awesome.
with the teens and the kids. And yeah, thank you for your message. Thank you for the work that you do in this world. It's really beautiful.
谢谢. That's thank you in Mandarin, not SHIT. It's SHEA.
Shesha,
Yeah, very good.
shesha.
Very good.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
again, have a beautiful rest of your Saturday, and thank you for hanging out with me.
Thank you.